Welcome back to another week of Hello Ladies. I am one of your hosts, Sabrina Hannon.
And I am Megan Manley.
And this week we've got a bunch of wrestling to talk about, as always. And to start off with our wrestling paraphernalia segment, this is something else that came out of one of those, the Loot Crate. That's what it was the WWE Loot Crate box. So I actually have two of these. I had three. I gave one to my cousin. He was very excited. What is this, you might ask? Well, it's a fanny pack.
Oh, very 1990s.
Yep. Oh, what's in here? Oh, and I have an NXT patch in here.
Oh, how about that?
And an Austin Aries card. What else do I have in here? I have more stuff. Huh. All right. Bonus.
Oh, wow.
I got a John Cena card.
I can't see it.
I almost showed that to you again. Charlotte Flair.
Nice.
And a Kevin Owens.
Oh, my boy.
Yeah. So I wonder if there's stuff in my other one. Well, the other one's the red belt. I think
cool.
The women's? No, it's the Red Universal Championship.
Oh, okay.
Where this is the World Heavyweight Championship. So I forget what one I gave my cousin. But yeah, I have never once used this, as you can tell by my surprise of its contents.
You have to fling it over your shoulder next time you go to a show.
Right? I can just sit here like this. This would be very uncomfortable very quickly.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I mean, it's light, but having to like
sit still.
Yeah. Yeah, and anyone who actually watches us can see I cannot sit still. My hands are always going. I can already tell that I'm going to, this is my first time wearing these earrings and they keep turning around. So I'm going to keep fucking with them. I can see that already.
I love those earrings so much. My best friend and I always said that we were Daria and Jane because she had like the preppy little sister that was like real popular with all the boys, and like our personalities were both of them, and we love Daria. It's something we always bonded over.
Oh yeah, my sense of humor was greatly shaped by Daria.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got these on Etsy from a seller, and I absolutely love them. I was worried they'd be too heavy, and this one is a little heavy, but I mean it's stealable.
They're cute though. Etsy's always worth it.
Yes. I love these. So yes, we'll get started. We're gonna start off with, well, I mean, I guess we could talk about whatever we wanted because it's been a week, but
that's our podcast, damn it.
Yeah. Let's start off with the Street Profits and RK Bro.
All right.
That segment on Raw.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, the party before they came out was hilarious. Like the absolute minimal effort that Randy Orton, put into planning it. It reminded me of, if you watch The Office, the birthday party that Dwight and Jim threw for Kelly with the half deflated balloons everywhere and just the sign saying it is your birthday. Like that was the vibes that I got for that. It just like, and Riddle was so excited. She's like a little puppy.
Mm-hmm. He was so excited that Randy put in half an effort.
Oh, it's gonna be heartbreaking when they break up. When I keep saying when Randy eventually turns on Riddle, but wouldn't it be something if they made Riddle
way?
Yeah.
He goes like on the Austin Theory way, like beats the shit out of him and then takes a selfie.
Right. Or like dumps weed on him.
Right. Oh.
I mean, Randy did give him a pouch of weed during that segment, so they didn't say that's what it was, but we all knew that's what that was.
Yeah. The part of that segment that I found the most interesting was when the Street Profits came out. It was a moment of, have they gone heel? Is that what's happening here? And I don't think they're going heel. I think that they're just getting more of an edge to them. But specifically, Angelo Dawkins, he always had that like Labrador retriever energy about him, like real happy to be here. And like it was gone, like the look on his face and everything. He looked like someone slapped his puppy and he was here to tell them where to go.
Yeah, I do like the fact that they meant business for WrestleMania season, because like WrestleMania is supposed to be it. Like that's the goal for like every wrestler on, you want to go to WrestleMania, you want a title match at WrestleMania, you
Yeah.
want to win a title at it. So like to see them coming out and being like, we beat you, we want to fight you at WrestleMania, like we're not taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
I like that. And I do think that that match is going to be really good.
Absolutely. And it's one of those where I would be happy either way that it goes, as long as they do not pull some bullshit like with Shinsuke and AJ Styles match that everyone was like, woohoo, can't wait to see it. And then low blow.
I was so excited for that match. Like that was the match that I was the most excited for that year. I could not wait. I had that feeling of like a child on Christmas Eve, like the night before
Mhm.
WrestleMania. I could not wait because I saw their amazing match in New Japan. And I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna get to see that again, but like at WrestleMania. And then that match happened. And as it was going, I was like, hmm, this isn't terrible, but it's not what I was expecting. And then the low blows, and it's like, okay, so we're gonna WWEify them. That's cool. We'll go with that then.
Yeah, I was heartbroken. I don't know anyone who wasn't. Like it was a thing. So as long as they don't pull some of that bullshit, very excited for that match. And I don't care. It's one of the things where I don't care who wins necessarily. I'm just there to see it.
Mm, I want the fans to win that match. That's what I'm hoping for, because between the four of them, if it's just like a straight up wrestling match, like no wonky finish, no interference, no like DQs, no bullshit, that could potentially be match of the night.
Yeah, it really could. They all have the stuff.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
100%. Especially Montez Ford and like, I mean, obviously Randy, but like Montez Ford and Riddle, like those two alone could put a classic on. I hope that it's just a, I don't want a shitty finish like you said, like no
mhm.
logo blows, no bullshit. Just have a good
Yeah.
match.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Um, I also not so much wanting to talk about the match with so they put Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan together as the tag team um on Raw to face Carmella and Queen Zelina. I really like the idea of Liv and Rhea as a tag team. They make a lot of sense to me. Their aesthetics are very similar and they bring a lot of the same kind of energy.
Yeah, I can
Um
see that.
Yeah. So I think, if WWE is looking to build a decent women's tag division, that's a good way to go
Hmm.
with those two. I again like I don't think that Queen Zelina and Carmella are a bad heel tag team. I kind of like what they're doing with having Queen Zelina get really annoyed at Carmella and her obsession with Corey Graves and the reality show. Um, if you want to even call it a reality show, the reality YouTube
Thing.
segments. I don't know what you'd say, but um, yeah, I think that's what we were talking about how um Carmella ran and jumped into Graves' lap and he started kicking at Rhea Ripley. And he has just such tiny little chicken legs.
That is one part of the match that I do remember seeing, because was it just, I think because that like grabbed my attention, because I mean, for those people listening or watching, Monday night we found out that my husband's uncle passed, so I didn't really pay attention to too much of Raw. We just had it on in the background. Obviously I was more concerned with my husband than watching Raw, but I do remember like out of the corner of my eye seeing Corey with his little chicken legs kicking at Rhea Ripley for whatever reason. And I
Mhm.
remember he and I kind of stopped like mid conversation and just looked at the TV and we were like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on?
Mhm. And Corey really sold it too with like his little scrunched face kicking at her. The part that you missed of that match, which I really loved, was I don't even know how to describe it because I've never seen it before. It was similar to when MJF and Darby Allin had their match and they did the pinning combination where they rolled around in a circle.
Oh, yeah.
It was similar to that, only it was constantly Liv getting the pin and Zelina trying to get out of it. So they kind of she was the only way I can think of explaining it was she was sitting and doing the thing where she was pinning her with her legs on over her shoulders,
Mm.
and so Queen Zelina was on her back, and then they'd roll in a circle and wind up in that same pinning position again. It's kind of like doing cartwheels sitting down for Liv
Gotcha.
Morgan. But it was just really cool to see. Like I hadn't seen that before. I really enjoyed it. And I think putting those two together, we might see more fun stuff out of them. Because I like Zelina, but it depends very much on who she is facing in the ring on how good she is. Like she's not a ring general by any means.
Right.
And I mean, maybe that'll come in time, but maybe not.
Yeah, they definitely need to do something with the women's tag division because Zelina and Carmella, I forget that they are tag team champions most of the time until they'll randomly have a match. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's the thing. Like they felt like for weeks now that they were the only women's tag team on either brand. Like they're I don't know what happened, but they just like seemed to completely like forget that the women's tag team division existed.
Mm-hmm.
And like teams that we had been broken up and and broken up and broken up until it really did seem like all that was left was just the tag team champs who were obviously never out because they didn't have anyone to fight. And
Mm-hmm.
like recently it seems like that they're trying to do something and I don't know if that's because they're like, oh shit, it's WrestleMania season, we need to actually have teams to fight for the belts on WrestleMania pre-show. I bet like I will bet anything that that's going to end up on the pre-show.
I don't know because Sasha Banks is involved because it's Sasha and Naomi versus them.
It still doesn't mean anything. They've had big names on pre-shows before.
Yeah,
I
but I don't I feel like maybe because she's involved, there's a chance that it'll be, the second match on the main card.
If they're gonna win, maybe. If she's not gonna win, then probably the pre-show.
Yeah.
Like I just
Um
I
it
mean
also
what's
it also depends on if they're actually trying to build that division, which they might be because right now they're doing they might have just finished up the Dusty. No, they're still working on the Dusty Classic, I think, for NXT's women's division. They finished up the men's, but now they're doing the women's, and maybe that has inspired Vince.
I doubt
Maybe.
it.
Or it
I
just reminded him.
I have legitimately lost all hope for anything with the women's tag team division because they have botched it so badly and made it so forgettable that it's like on par with the 24/7 championship, like in
It is,
importance.
I was gonna say it is, I was actually gonna say it's not as bad as the 24/7 championship. Um, I really think what they should do with the 24/7 championship, and I think someone on Cultaholic said this, is almost make that something that like the celebrities or the legends more so compete for. Not compete for, but when they pop up, when we see kind of like they did, I think it was one of those like 25 years of Raw or something, anniversary throwback shows.
Oh,
And they had these legends winning it. Or when Corey Graves won, and like I think it's that title is best when they do fun stuff like that.
Like when
Um,
Bad Bunny won it and brought it on SNL when he was performing like the following week.
yes, yeah. And then when that's not happening, our truth can have it because it works best for our truth.
Our Truth and Carmelo was like the best part of that
Mhm,
title so far. Because that was when Drake Maverick was after it too, right? Like all of that was,
mhm.
it peaked and it's never been the same. And I don't think they'll ever reach that again with that belt. It was lightning in a bottle. It won't catch that again.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just over it, to be honest. I'm over watching a bunch of jobbers chasing it on like a random segment. And I'm already over this whole like romance angle between, I just, that's one part that I tune out. I just tune out mentally. As soon as I see that shit and I see those people, I don't know what, it's like my eyes glaze over and I start thinking of like shopping lists that like what do I need from the grocery store, and like that shit starts happening. Like,
Hmm. I only like I always get excited when I see Tozawa because I love him. And I wish they were actually doing something with him, but I'm just happy that he still has a job. Maybe he will wind up doing something. I mean, they've started using Ricochet again, so it's possible because he was in that 24/7 clusterfuck for a hot sec.
which is
So
ridiculous because Ricochet is incredible. Like,
Ricochet is Ricochet, yeah. So I'm very happy that he has a title belt and like not the 24/7, um,
like a real belt. Like,
a real belt, yeah. And he's getting the screen time he honestly deserves. So,
swear to God, I care more about the BTE title than I do the 24/7 title. I swear.
yeah, I mean, they could do something with it. They're just not going to.
No, they had all the potential in the world. They could have made that the next hardcore belt. Like with Foley coming out and introducing it, I was like, oh, sweet. I love the hardcore belt when I was younger. It's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh, wait, no, it's not.
No, like even if I mean, this doesn't make sense, but if they were to parlay it into, I really liked when they did those specialty matches for like the mixed tag
Mhm.
thing that they had, those competitions
Yeah, that was
that
a lot
where
of
the
fun.
yeah, where the money would go to charity. If they could somehow morph the 24/7 title into that, um, which I mean, they're setting it up kind of for that. I mean, at this point, it'd be easy to do with Dana Brooke and Reggie and um,
Tamina.
Tamina and Tozawa. And then you would get, people that folks would actually want to see um,
Right.
involved, Um, and I think they could really, that is the only way I see them saving this belt, really.
I would love to see the mixed tag challenge come back. I know it was like just on Facebook Live or whatever,
Mm,
but they were a lot of fun to watch. Like Miz and Asuka was just worth it alone.
yeah. Yeah, they were a great team. And you got to see a lot of the husband and wife teams together, which
Mhm.
was fun. And
Alana
that's some,
and Braun I liked a lot too. Oh, they team Little Big.
yep, yeah. And that's something where I wouldn't mind seeing Becky and Seth put back together for that. Especially now with them both so like eccentric,
Mhm.
literally just for that, I would love it.
Who was she with? It was Sammy, right? It was the two redheads, Sammy
Yeah.
and Becky. Yeah.
Yeah, at least for one of the, because they did it twice.
Mhm.
So, for one of them they were together
Yeah, I
at
think they
least.
were out early too. I don't remember them going very far.
Yeah. But there's so much potential for that.
Mhm. Yeah, like a
um
mixed tag belt, like kind of morph it into something like that. And even if they did do it separately, if they did it like just on YouTube or something for like something fun, like
mhm.
why not? Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It would be, oh, such a good idea.
I
And
mean,
it's
they do dark matches anyway, so you can just do one of those as like a dark match
mhm.
and throw it on YouTube and do like another tournament. It could easily work and it would be a lot of fun. And it can highlight a lot more like women talent that, they only get what, like 2 or 3 segments in 3 hours on Raw, and everything else is usually the men. You can take some of the lesser used women and put them into that and have them win some kind of belt. Like it could just not even just women, like you can even get like like the jobbers, like the guys that don't really get a lot of TV time either. And
Mhm.
that's something for them. You can elevate a lot of younger talent or like a lot of underutilized talent that way.
Yeah, exactly. Um, it would be phenomenal, I think.
Stupendous.
This,
Is
yeah,
that the buzzword? Is that
I
what that
I think so, yeah.
I, I,
Yes.
I hate it.
I mean,
Who does stupendous in real life? Come on.
that's why Vince said he picked it. No one uses it,
Oh,
which that is correct. Now, if you hear the word stupendous, what are you going to associate it with for the rest of your freaking life?
ugh.
WrestleMania.
For whatever reason, it makes me think of like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Like I start thinking of like Mary Poppins.
It sounds very like Disney.
hmm
Stupendous.
hmm Yeah, like a Disney villain would say it when their plan starts going right. Ooh, stupendous! Like,
Hmm. Yes. Can you
although
imagine? Can you imagine
Vince
Vince
is
McMahon as a Disney villain? Like I can see him completely drawn that way.
he basically is a Disney villain in real life. Let's get real. Like,
Mhm. Yeah, with money just bloom, bloom,
yeah,
smelling it.
diving into it like Scrooge McDuck.
McDuck, yeah. Oh. I think one of the most upsetting things when I, got a little bit older, and I realized that if Scrooge McDuck were to dive into gold coins like that, it would not work. One, if they're solid gold coins, they're very malleable, so he would destroy them. And two, he would die.
Yeah, yeah, he would be broken in a lot of places.
Or he'd suffocate.
That as well.
Yeah, like it's just so many things. I remember in science class having that realization. I was like, damn it.
There goes my dreams of diving into a pool of money.
Yeah, yeah.
Just get paper
It's
money,
something,
you'll be fine.
huh?
Get paper money, you'll be fine.
That's true. That's true. Um, and of course I guess I'll start off with the debut that happened on Raw, which I was very excited to see Pete Dunne. I love Pete Dunne. I which did you know his real last name is England?
No, it's not.
It really is. His real last name is England,
Why wouldn't they just use that? It
right?
writes itself.
I think he used Pete Dunne on the Indies as well, but
Mhm.
it's so weird because he has such a. Why is my phone going off like this? Someone is just sending me all of the Snapchats. Stop it.
Ugh.
Um, he had he has a history with NXT UK, with NXT, with the Cruiserweight Classic, with the
The
he's even
Brokerweights.
the
The
yeah,
tag team
they had better keep the freaking bruiserweight part because it's just genius. Like Butch the bruiserweight doesn't sound as great, but I can learn to not throw up in my mouth. Um I think
Whatever.
the other reason I don't like Butch as a name is one, I feel like it's an old man name. Like, and he is a young man. Also, he still keeps the top knot of his hair. That man, he has a lot of hair. I think he has maybe hair that's longer than mine. And he does a top knot. So when he's wearing that's the hat, the little cabbie hat, which, I mean, it's not a bad look. I think it works really well for Ridge Holland, kind of Sheamus, but because he has that, it doesn't sit right on his head and it looks bizarre.
Stupid. It looks ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. And he needs to make a choice with that. But at any rate, yeah.
That's pretty nice. Swear to God, when he came out and they said the name, I thought they said Budge. I honestly thought, yeah, Budge, like what Silver and Reynolds have been calling Adam Cole on BTE the whole time. I swear to God, I thought that they said the name was Budge, and then I realized it was Butch. And then that started to make me wonder, was that going to be what they wanted to name Adam Cole when they were bringing him up to the main roster? And is that why on BTE they made the Budge jokes? Because they wanted to change his name. They wanted him to cut his hair. They wanted him to manage somebody. I can't remember who it was. That's escaping me. But like they wanted to just totally like kill his entire character. And then when he came out as Butch and I thought he said Budge, that made me wonder if like that was supposed to be Adam Cole's gimmick. Like not the whole like stereotypical, like so stereotypical Irishman thing that is
although he's
bordering.
not Irish, neither is Rich Owens.
No, the whole Sheamus, every time I see him, I'm like, is this inappropriate? Like, are we at that, like, are we at teetering at the edge where this might be like really stereotypical? Are we gonna make him, carry a pot of gold out soon? Like, what are we doing here? But
I mean, it would have happened this week if they were going to make him do that.
Right. my poor Irish heart. But I
like the idea of the fighting Irish thing, which I think is what Sheamus was initially going for with the look and the wrapped hands. Because Sheamus at this point, I'm sure Sheamus every once in a while just changes his look, and that's something I think that they entrust in him. So I feel like he made that decision to go with this particular look. Fella, like I love it whenever Sheamus speaks. He should have more promos. He could, and someone with an Irish accent could read me the dictionary and I'd be like, yes, this is good television. Fantastic.
I don't know why, but I enjoy Finn Balor's more than Sheamus's. Like, you could tell that they're obviously both from Ireland, but there's
different regions.
Yeah, like, I mean, everywhere has different accents, like, depending on where you live in your country. I enjoy listening to Finn Balor speak a little more. I like his dialect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Finn Balor, Becky Lynch, or Sheamus, any of them could just talk and talk and talk. I would gladly be their therapist.
But no, getting back to Butch, because I feel like we really need to talk about that. Yeah. Did you see John Silver's tweet where it's all about that Butch? Because that knocked me out. I was done. Like I was already scrolling, and because as soon as like something ridiculous happens, the first thing I do is say like, I'm like, what are other people on Twitter thinking? Because I always want to know if like I'm overreacting. Oh, I wasn't for that. Not at all.
Yeah, I hope they keep the bruiser weight and they just refer to him as that. Because the other thing is like Butch is not a good chantable name.
No.
Unless they're Butchie, but like that'd be terrible.
Yeah, sometimes it's very easy to see that there is old men making creative decisions in that company. Like sometimes
an old man name.
Yeah, right. Like it's so out of touch. It's just very out of touch, and it's another thing that really hurts them. That Vince does have final say on everything. He'll rewrite whole scripts of shows like minutes before it goes on air. Sometimes still writing as it's airing. Like it's something that's really hindering them because he I'm not going to take anything away from him. Vince McMahon obviously had one of the most creative minds in wrestling. Look what he created, like look what he did, like with WWE. It was like the only major American wrestling company around for what, like 20 years until AEW came around.
Well, not only
Um,
that, but like he made wrestling as we know it now. If he didn't do what he did, we probably never would have had a WCW like we did. We wouldn't have an AEW for sure. You know, he made wrestling what it is today across the board. Like there's
I mean, like WCW existed, but like we wouldn't have had like
yeah.
probably Nitro and Thunder and like stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
there would have all still been territories if he didn't. I mean, how he made WWE debatable on if that was, you know, very ethical or
Oh, not ethical at all, but
he he crossed a lot of lines, broke a lot of promises, and did shit that his father probably wouldn't have been proud of whatsoever.
no. I mean,
Like,
and he recognizes that too. He flat out says like if his dad knew what he was going to do, he wouldn't have sold in the company.
oh yeah,
But
but I mean,
go ahead.
like not taking anything away from what he has done. He is almost 80 years old and probably shouldn't be trying to write things for audiences of teens, 20s, and 30s anymore. Because what I mean, I know people hate hearing it, but like target demographic is 18 to 34 or like 18 to 49, like within that range.
Mm-hmm. It's
He
it's Gen Z and millennials. That's who should be trying to capture. And
making
the
woke
tap
millennial heels isn't like a stereotypical woke millennial heel. That's not really appealing to an audience that you need to appeal to, like
Mhm.
to keep ratings on TV and keep your show on television.
Yeah, exactly. Um it's the most and it boggles my mind sometimes how they can he can be a visionary on some things and so stuck in the past at the same exact time. um and they've grown leaps and bounds. I mean, they're still not no, they're nowhere near perfect for sure, or but they're doing much they're still doing much better in regards to the women's division on the main roster, even on NXT, because I did watch parts of that last night. They have, I would say, maybe half of NXT is women, like women's matches, women's storylines, which is insane. Like I lost count of how many women's segments there were throughout it. That was the common thread. And they also had on NXT, they brought down Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio to have a match as well as having Dolph Ziggler there and Bobby Roode. So that was a thing. But the when you look at WWE definitely has more representation now in regards to various nationalities, various races, and has stepped away from their past of really derogatory booking for them, although like some of the stuff is still questionable. So I don't want to give them too much credit on that, but they do have more diversity amongst their champions, for example, than other companies do within the United States.
True. I mean, now AEW, no. I mean, Scorpio Sky, Thunder Rosa, Jade. So basically just
And Sammy. Oh wait, no, Sammy just lost.
yeah. Oh, well, I mean, Sammy was the champion for a long time. So I mean, AEW now is like very diverse with their champions.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean,
which is good because that was a criticism that they were getting from within included for
mhm.
a while. Um,
Yeah, because the beginning, what it was Jericho.
I mean, they didn't have as many championships in the beginning, but who was the
I'm trying to think of the first champ. So Jericho was the first AEW champion. Scorpio Sky and
hands with an
Kazarian were the
H?
first. Hmm?
I think no, doesn't her name begin with an H?
Riho?
Riho, yeah. Wasn't she the
Ri-
first?
yeah, Riho was the first women's champion, and the first TNT champion was Cody, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, still not terrible. Like not as bad as people made it out to seem.
Well, also as white people sitting here and saying that, like I
No, but I was trying to think like was it like were they all
there was a point when everyone was white when Britt Baker was champion. Um
yeah, Cody, Kenny, the Young Bucks and Brett. Yeah, that's the period. I was going back to the first, but yeah, that
yeah.
wasn't a good look when
And all of them had like longer reigns too. Well, obviously, I mean, Britt, we'll get into the Britt Thunder Rosa match later,
and
but
all of them had connections to Tony Khan too. When you look at that, like
yeah,
yeah, that wasn't a good look that period
no,
at all.
no. But I mean, WWE is still better right now at having more representation of women. I mean, yes, there was a great match last night that was the closing match for main event, there we go, for AEW, that was the women, but that was the only time you saw Jade wasn't on that card at all.
I feel like they keep Jade more to Rampage. Like I feel like she is like a Rampage that you know what I'm starting to feel like there isn't really a brand split on AEW, but it seems like we're seeing more people on Rampage than we like certain people are always on Rampage and not really on Dynamite. That's what I'm trying to get out that I
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
wording correctly. So like they technically don't have a brand split, but it feels like she's one person that like is just crushing people on or on Rampage constantly. She almost always has a match or a segment on that show.
With their rapidly expanding roster, I wouldn't be surprised if they find themselves in a position where they have to do a brand split. I mean, they're certainly going to need to bump Rampage up to 2 hours, or get another 1 hour time slot somewhere. Like they're going to have to add in something else because no one really watches Dark or Dark Elevation. So,
Yeah. I've been saying that for a while that even if they because I know that they like do not want to do 2 hours for Rampage. Like that's just has been said, like do not even if they bumped it up to an hour and a half at least, like an extra half hour, that would be something. Also, a lot of people that were there from the beginning, their contracts are expiring. So there's going to be I know Joey Janela is one of them. He had already said that he's not he's not going to be re-signing.
I think the most problematic thing with what Joey Janela has said, because it hasn't just happened to him, it happened to that other guy that was with Jurassic Express.
Marcos.
Yeah, they just stopped talking to him. Like, and that's what's happening to Joey Janela. He said, like, I wish they'd just communicate with me. No one talks to me about it. So, or about anything. Like he's not getting any communication. And that's really bad business. That's not a great that's something they need to fix immediately.
You can't ghost your employees like they're
Mhm.
not a date, like you shouldn't ghost a date either, but I'm just saying like it's not like someone you were talking to on like a dating site. It's an employee of your company. You
Yeah,
shouldn't be ghosting. I didn't know that. I only heard that he was leaving. I know that he talked about it on what was it, Denise's podcast, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Um I haven't seen it, but I just heard that much. I didn't know that they just stopped like that he was ghosted by his company.
Yeah. And the fact that it's not just him, but somebody else too, that was just a contract they weren't going to renew. That's really shitty. Like, obviously, it's very shitty that WWE did those mass releases.
Mhm.
This is also shitty. Like, you need to have a conversation and be like, we're not renewing your contract. This is why. Yes, those are uncomfortable conversations, but especially someone who runs a football company
Yeah,
should
right.
be used to that.
I yeah, that's that's disappointing. I mean, Marco Stunt's gonna be okay. Like, I guess I mean, it's shitty what they did to him. I'm just saying, like, I guess he's gonna he's gonna audition for The Voice. I think I
Oh
saw
yeah, I
that.
heard some about that.
And I mean, Marco Stunt was entertaining, but honestly, like, his longevity in wrestling wasn't going to be.
I liked him on BTE.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite BT champs. Um, he was fun there, but like, I like him. I think he seems like a really sweet kid. And I really hope that his music career takes off. Like, I hope that The Voice works out for him and something happens from there. Because I hate to be one of those, like, you're too small to be a wrestler, but I mean, he's shorter than I am, and I'm 5'3". Like, it's not even like he's Rey Mysterio height. Like, he looks like he's 13, and I hate to be mean about it, but it's just not believable. Like,
Yeah.
I understand suspending your belief to an extent, but that's just too much. Like, that's almost cartoon levels of suspending your disbelief.
Yeah, I mean, he could certainly, at that point, you have to look at doing things like being a manager or a referee and things like of that nature, which I mean are avenues that will be open to him as well, if the music career doesn't pan out. Um, but yeah, jumping back over to WWE, the mo so mm, Pete Dunne's name change was not the most upsetting thing that happened during that segment. Ridge Holland, and I don't know if it would have been better or worse had this happened in the ring versus like outside. Um, but went to do a belly to belly suplex and it was botched. And Big E, the second you saw, because he didn't do a full flip, he hit his forehead, like the top of his forehead on the floor, and broke his neck. Um,
It was hard to watch.
fractured. Yeah. And you knew immediately, one, from seeing it, but then you see Ref Jess in the ring and grabbing the pack in the back to talk to the people in the back and saying like, we need a medic. They did not pan back to him. That was the other thing that made it very clear. Yeah, that.
I thought
Oh,
he I thought he got killed. I'm not even lying. I thought, oh my God, he just just the way that his body flopped, like, it was. I was terrified for him. I honest to God thought that I watched that poor man lose his life on TV.
mhm.
I did not think that he was still okay. And I was like checking everything that I could during commercials. And thank goodness people that were there were posting cell phone videos of him getting stretchered out and giving a thumbs up, and like Kofi like walking along with the stretcher.
Yeah.
I would have thought that he wouldn't have made it. Those were the scariest bumps I have ever seen. That
Yeah, it was
oh,
bad. Like, the only thing I can think to compare it to is when Brock Lesnar did,
oh,
yeah, with Kurt Angle and he came down and hit his head.
that
Um,
shooting star press, or when um Owen Hart with Stone Cold, that botched pile driver.
yeah.
That was another, like, they're up there for the holy shit, are they alive? Like,
Mhm. And I think specifically with Lesnar and Big E, the reason, I mean, Big E's injury is serious, but I think had he not been as physically fit and his neck wasn't as strong as it is, he very well may have died or been paralyzed at the very least. Um,
yeah, that could have gone very bad. Like, if
yeah.
I think having all that neck muscle, I mean, that must have, because he's really built up around like the neck and shoulders,
Mhm.
which I'm sure helped.
Yeah.
And one thing about that, like a silver lining with it, was you could tell that Big E must be a genuinely like good dude, because you saw people from New Japan, from AEW, from indie companies, from WWE, both like NXT, both brands, refs, wrestlers, man, like everything, like
Mhm.
the amount of outpouring of love for that man, like it was just, he's very lucky in more ways than one, that he's just very loved.
Yeah. And like wrestlers were going, like Drew McIntyre was one that went and sat with him at the hospital for a while so he wouldn't be alone. And I'm
Oh.
sure like Kofi was there. Drew probably was like, you stink, you have to go shower.
Right.
Come back. But yeah, he's someone who, and the videos that he's put out since, just being so positive, and like, I know I kind of have an issue with doctors who are not working his case, speaking up and saying, well, this could really end his career. Like, it's a neck injury. We know that, but you don't need to like talk about how his career's over, because that's not going to help him any. I mean, yeah, it's upsetting for us fans, but that's not doing Big E any favors. Like, you don't need to put that negativity out there. He clearly isn't looking at it like that. And sometimes in these sorts of situations, your attitude can really help determine what's going to happen. So shush on that, unless you're his doctor.
Right. Power positivity, people. Like,
Mhm. Yes. Oh, but it was, oh, yeah. And
yeah.
it's one of those things too where and no one has said, like, no one in the wrestling business has said Ridge Holland is dangerous. Ridge Holland, they just said, this is an accident, and it can happen. And because I went back and rewatched it to specifically watch Ridge Holland. You can tell, like, towards the end, he realizes Big E's not getting up high enough, and he tries to give him an extra push. And I think that's the only reason he didn't hit here. He hit further up, and I'm not sure if that's better or worse, because if he'd
Mhm.
hit like this, it would have gone back like that. So I don't know. But oh, I cannot imagine the kind of guilt one would feel for something like that. Anyone who is involved with that, it's awful. Obviously it's the worst for Big E, but oh.
It's just, as much as people say that wrestling is fake, it's predetermined. What those
Mhm.
people are doing is not fake. Like, they are legitimately putting their lives on the line with a lot of those moves that they're doing.
Yeah.
People do get hurt, people do get paralyzed, people do get killed. Like, it's not fake in the way that people think it is. Like, yeah, some of the, like punches and kicks, like obviously, yeah, they're slapping the thigh, they're not really getting kicked in the face, like unless it's a botched move and then someone gets kicked in the face.
Yeah.
But like, it's still physical, it's still athletic, it's still dangerous. It's like stuntman work, like
Mhm.
it's predetermined, but it's not fake. Like, and
Mhm.
it's like injuries like Big E's is the reason I get so heated when people are like, "Oh, it's fake." It's like, yeah, well, so is like your, SVU. Like, that's fake too. But people aren't going to legit get killed on the set of SVU like they might in a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
Like,
Although Lita did break her neck on the set of, what was it, Dark Angel or Alias or whatever it was that she
is she?
was. That's how she broke her neck. Yeah.
Oh
That
my god.
it wasn't in the ring. It was doing, because they figured, oh, she's a wrestler, she can do the stunts,
Mm,
and it did not properly translate. That's how she broke her neck.
no.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Big E will probably never see our podcast, but on the slim chance, like, I'm sure both of us wish him a speedy recovery and
yeah.
glad that it wasn't anything more serious.
Yeah, it's really fortunate that he's not going to need surgery. And hopefully everything heals correctly, and it's as painless for him as possible.
Want
Um,
to see
but
him back want to see him back soon. I mean, obviously recovered, but
Mhm. The good news is he has plenty of time to catch up on some video games.
that's true. That's always the plus side on being sidelined. You have plenty of time to like read and catch up on video games.
Yep. Yeah. So, and I'm sure he has a backlog of some that he'd like to play.
And I'm sure that Woods can definitely give him some recommendations.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most certainly.
Probably Elden Ring. That's the big thing right now.
Yeah, Nom's playing that now.
Yeah, so is Brian.
Mhm. Like from because I walk by Nom's setup all the time. He plays on the PC, and it's a beautiful game from what I see
Yeah,
walking by.
the Dark Souls games are like the Souls games are they're very pretty games. They're not games I like to play, but I don't mind watching. Like they're really hard and I get really frustrated. Like I'll be straight up honest. I started playing like Dark Souls 3, I think it might have been, and I sucked at it and I think it almost caused Brian and I to split up for because he wanted me to play it and I was like, you just want to be embarrassed myself, and I like started a fight and I never played it again. So I don't mind watching them. They're pretty games, but I will never touch one again.
The only games that I really the only games that I really play are like Mario Party and things of that nature.
Hey,
I'm
Mario Kart's fun.
terrible at video games, but I love fun things things that I think are fun like that. Just being silly, being Mario. Well, actually, I don't like being Mario himself, but being various other characters.
You might like Mario Golf. That's a good time.
Yeah.
Brian, I
Um,
play a lot.
with Mario Party, I will specifically chase Nom around, and we call it the taint punch. Like, and like it looks like that's what you're doing. And I just chase his character around yelling taint punch. So
That's
yeah.
too funny.
And that's not when you're in like the games. That's when you're figuring out what games you want to play. That's what I do for fun. Taint punch. Oh, you're wearing an Orange Cassidy shirt.
Oh yes, I am.
saw-
The yearbook photo t-shirt.
Yeah. I'm wearing one of my Shayna Baszler ones, the Shayna 2-time.
Oh, nice.
I'm wearing. Yeah. It's a very comfortable shirt. I like this one.
Yeah, I got lazy and leaned back so you can see my shirt now.
Yeah. Switching gears, let's talk about the Jericho Appreciation Society, which is newly formed.
It is brilliant.
This has Jericho's like fingerprints all over it of creating this idea, and it works out nicely too, because he's somebody else who will like change his looks and stuff as he goes along. This one might have been more unintentional since he lost the weight and isn't as bloated and red, and most likely is not drinking like a fish. But he looks fantastic. His hair is better. He definitely, because I messaged you, do you think they're hot rollers that he used in his hair or a curling iron? Because he did something.
Yeah, it was poofy.
I feel like, do you think he's going for like a Farrah Fawcett thing that just didn't pan out?
Well, I think since he is a sports entertainer now, he is going for that sports entertainer glorious hair, not the gritty wrestler hair.
I can't think of Charlotte Flair is the closest one I can but her hair is much nicer. That would have hair to what he is trying to pull off. Like it's not like you see Seth Rollins walking around like that.
No, but he does do the little man bun. Like
yeah. I think I'm going to go with, I think he used an iron. That's what I think. A bit like one of those big barrel ones.
Right. I loved it. I thought it was just hilarious. Like, I mean, obviously that is a dig at WWE. They're like using a sports entertainer to turn him heel. Like they know their audience. I
don't even necessarily think that Jericho thought of it as a dig, just as he knows automatically people will hate all of them for saying it. I think
Oh, 100%.
yeah. Ah, brilliant.
And even like changing the names of 2.0, like right after the Butch thing, especially that like it was so funny. It was just so funny. I'm very intrigued on where this is gonna go.
I also really appreciated that. So I mean, it fit the bill with them saying why they all appreciate Jericho, but what they did was they broke down their connection to Jericho, and I didn't give a shit about any of these people. I still don't give a shit about Jack Hager. He looked bizarre, by the way, during that segment. Like his face, I don't know what he was doing. It looked like he farted and smelled it and didn't like it. Like that's what his face said to me.
I've, I've never been a fan of his.
No.
I not when he was in WWE, not when he's come to like AEW. I just no, like
I
have
have
no.
nothing to base this off of, but he seems like a shitty human being. And it's just his face.
I was gonna say it's his face. He's got that face. Like it's
I'm
very
sorry if he's a
punchable
nice
face.
person. He looks like an asshole.
I just he bores the shit out of me. I'll be totally honest. He just bores the absolute shit out of me.
He also had one of the worst t-shirts I've ever seen in WWE. That poorly drawn hand, like a
Oh,
child drew with the arm. I
we the
just,
people.
my God, whenever I see him to this day, I think of that shitty t-shirt. Like it was awful. Like who drew that? It was clearly a child.
You might have.
Maybe. But so minus him, the having everyone talk about their connection to Jericho and having Jericho talk about the connection made me care about them more. I didn't care. I didn't know who they were. I didn't particularly care who they were. Although Daniel Garcia looks like you remember Jersey Shore, Vinny from Jersey Shore? That's who he looks like. It's who he looks like. That guy is a stripper now for Chippendales, by the way. Not Daniel Garcia, Vinny from Jersey Shore.
Yeah, I figured that's who you meant.
Yeah. Unless Daniel Garcia is doing that too. I'm not here to judge. He could be doing that. I don't know. Wrestler. Well, no, they're both night jobs. Never mind.
I mean, it could be a Tuesday afternoon warrior. You never know. On the C team, who knows?
Yeah, right. But hearing their stories, and I really appreciated when Jericho said my former best friend Kevin, and I was like, wait, oh.
I missed that because I said you messaged that to me, and I looked at Brian. I said apparently Jericho said something about his former best friend Kevin, and he was like, "Did he? I didn't hear that either. Did he say it like real quick or something? Because I didn't catch it."
Yeah, when talking about 2.0, saying that Kevin, his former best friend Kevin, called him and said, "Hey, my friends were just fired."
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh.
That makes sense.
Yes. And then I was like, these guys were in WWE. And I looked it up and I was like, oh, yes, they
NXT,
were.
right?
Yeah, in NXT. And
I like them strictly because of BT.
The one guy annoys the piss out of me, but he's supposed to, so
That's why I like him. He's like so obnoxious, but I laugh at it all the time. Like he just reminds me of half the guys that would be like screaming at you at whistles in 2008. Like that's all I think of. Like
I missed that, thankfully.
there's like some dude that's trying to talk to you about like whatever, and they're like yelling, and he just has that like almost NEPA accent to him, like the couple two tree, like when he's yelling, like it just that's why I find him funny.
That would explain why I detest him. Yes.
He's every dude bro from our early 20s.
And it was only Because like I've been to bars where guys are like that. No. Mm-mm. That's why I don't like him. That is exactly why. Yeah.
Whistles might be a bad one. Maybe more like he would have been like hardware bar tanks like that. Yep.
Where you stick to the floor.
Or what was that club? The one that used to be over by like Northern Lights. Oh, what the hell was the name of it?
There was one that the Coliseum.
Yeah, that one. Or that like that's the type of places like dudes like that would hang out.
I don't even remember where the Coliseum was. I know it was in like downtown Scranton. I went there like once and thankfully didn't really drink there because do you know why they were closed down?
For people getting drugged.
To the
Yeah.
point where they realized that it was the bartenders doing it, because that's how, like, you couldn't be that prolific with it unless it was the bartenders behind it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I was only there once and it was like their soft open. It wasn't before they actually opened. It was parade day one year and like it wasn't even completely built inside yet. I just remember like plywood still in places and they just like let people in for parade day and
Yeah.
that was and I'm like, yeah, I'll never be back here again. Like,
Yeah, I went there once. I had been drinking earlier and I don't know. I got there and I was like, no, thanks. I used their bathroom though, because there wasn't a lot of people there. So I was like, oh, there'll be toilet paper. Because
yeah,
I think everyone's been at a bar and you're just like, oh, there's no toilet paper.
I was never like a club person. I like going to a bar. Like I just want to go somewhere like the V Spot or like or Whistles when it existed, which sad face. I I like just going to a bar. I don't want to go to a club. I even in my 20s, I didn't want like the thumping music. I was like an 85-year-old when I was 22. Like it's too loud.
I love a good dance party.
Oh, that's
See,
like
I love going to, so throughout Scranton, you'll see this because Saturday is usually behind it, but they will take like a regular bar and they will have a dance party night. And yes, I've helped organize some of those for for various charities, but it is my favorite. I love it because it's like music always from the 80s, some from the 70s, 90s, and like the fun stuff from the 2000s into today. But yeah, I want to listen to some Girls Just Want to Have Fun and Whitney Houston's I Want to Dance with Somebody and Lizzo. Like I want it all, and the Spice Girls. That's where I'm at.
oh god, a dance party for me is like if there is a hell, that is where I would end up. That would be my eternity of hell.
Gotcha. So if I ever throw you a surprise party, no dancing.
I can't. I can't dance to begin with. It's just embarrassing to even try to attempt. I'm like Elaine from, Seinfeld, just the like no rhythm. Yeah, I hate crowds. The social anxiety thing. So like
Mhm.
all of it is like that is my personal hell.
That makes more sense. Yes. Yes. Um, how the hell did we get Oh, the NEPA guys. That's
Yep.
how.
Yep.
What the hell is this one place? I think it's called Poor Boys on Wyoming Ave in Scranton. It's by my brother used to live by there. That's where those guys really congregated. It was ugh. Ugh.
Just a typical dude bro from your corner bar.
Oh my God. I don't know if they're selling that shirt that Bianca Belair has about like thou shall not touch my hair. And Black women definitely experience this at a much higher rate than anybody else, but also anyone who has curly or textured hair has the experience of people touching your hair when you don't know them and you don't want them to. Like I had a man at that bar come up and just stick his hands in my hair, like to my scalp, and start going like this, like fluffing it up, being like, oh, you're a very beautiful woman. It's, get the fuck away from me.
Oh no.
No, no, no. I don't know where you've been. No. I don't know you, sir. Shoo.
I can't imagine touching a stranger that anywhere.
Like purposefully, like other than bumping into their arm.
Yeah, if you're like, oh, excuse me, sorry, like, okay, that's understandable. But like coming
Mhm.
up and actually like putting your hands in someone else's I never understood that. Like,
Yeah, it's ugh, ugh.
cringy.
Yeah. And he, when I told him to get the fuck away from me and stop touching me, he followed it up with, how would you like your breakfast? And I was like, without you, goodbye, sir.
Oh God, no.
Like, I will never be meaner than I am to people in bars. Like, if you want to see like peak mean Sabrina, that's where to find me, because I'm not dealing with your bullshit. Nope.
I'm awkward, so and like uncomfortable shit like that used to happen to me. I would just kind of like fold in on myself and try to make myself as small as possible. That was the route that I always went.
No, I was so nasty that to this one guy, somebody else overheard it and thought I was a dominatrix, and then he would not leave me the fuck alone. Because here's the thing, you can't be mean enough to those guys. It just is a bigger plus to them.
Oh God.
Like,
No, I always wish that I was able to tell people to fuck off, but that was never one of my strong points.
only in bars. That's the only time I'm really able to do it, whether I'm drinking or not. Although if I am drinking, the meaner I will be to you. Oh, I will completely degrade you. If you do not leave me alone when first instructed.
You shouldn't be talking about that. There's some people that like that shit. They may be trying to purposely find you at bars now.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of that. That's like not great.
You can't win.
You can't. No. So back to Jared. I don't think he's someone who likes to be degraded.
No, that's someone that probably has a praise kink.
Yeah. Sam the goat.
Oh man, that's funny.
I hope the next time you see Jericho on TV, that's all you think of.
Meh. Oh, that made it.
Yeah,
I'm broken. Oh, but yeah, Jericho. Anyway, where
yes.
the hell were we?
The Jericho Appreciation Society.
I can't stop with tell me I'm the goat.
Ooh, baby.
Oh, okay. Whew, we lost me. All right, and we're back. So yes, the Jericho Appreciation Society, or JAS as it's was called on the screen when they were coming out.
I was sitting there and I was like, what the fuck is this? Has this always been there? Have they, does that say Judas and I'm blind? Like,
I thought it looked like the WB logo, and I was like, am I about to watch Harry Potter? Like, what is going on?
they stole our idea. Jericho's coming out to sort everyone.
Slytherin.
Hufflepuff? But like the Hufflepuff that murders.
Right.
Which might be Hager. I don't know. I'm not comfortable putting him there, but
he's a muggle. Yeah. He's a Dursley.
Yes, I'm fine with that.
I am intrigued about this stable. I don't know if I'm invested yet, but I am intrigued.
I think it'll be entertaining, at least.
I was sports entertained.
Yes. Yes.
I have to admit, though, it's very strange to not have an inner circle anymore, because I know that they haven't done much together recently, but still, like, they existed. They were a thing. It's weird to not have something that has been a part of AEW since day one anymore. Like, it's a little weird.
Well, I mean, Cody's not there right now either, so. And now I've really broken Megan.
Now I'm sad. I
Just
miss
keep kicking her,
Cody.
Sabrina. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, I want to talk about Kenny next.
He's coming back. On the topic though of the inner circle. So I watched a couple. So in my YouTube recommended came up Sammy Guevara's blog because it had Danhausen in it. And so I watched it and then I watched another one. And Sammy and Ty got each other's names tattooed like on their ribs. And like their full names, like I think her actual name, and I might be saying it wrong, is Tiana, based on what I quickly saw in the nice script. That is bad luck what they have done. Their relationship will only last another 3 months now.
I was gonna say that's the kiss of death for a relationship. You never get someone else's name tattooed on you because it never seems to last. Like,
Yeah, like no good will come of that.
I feel like there's something cursed about that. Like,
yeah. Apparently, oh God, and I hate that I know this. Pete Davidson apparently has several tattoos now to Kim Kardashian as well as a brand. So, yep.
ugh.
So that's in my brain. Now it's in yours too. But I was just like, why? I'm glad that they're in love. You were talking of Sammy and Ty, back to wrestling. I'm glad that they're in love and having a good time. But I am not a very superstitious person, but when it comes to that, oh no. Like you have sealed the end of your relationship. And it'll be a bad one too. Like it'll be a bad ending. It won't be a thing where you're still friends and be like, oh, well, this reminds me of, a good time in my life. Be like, this will forever remind me of when you stabbed me.
Oh my God.
Or cheated on me, or
I hope it doesn't go to any of like either of them stabbing the other.
right. Very extreme example there. But yeah, it's just not it's a curse.
Yeah, it screams of bad luck. I would never. I just because I'm not super like very superstitious either. Just a little stitious, but that's something that I don't think I would do because it just never seems like it ends well, like, or lasts when people. That's why they say like never get someone's name tattooed on you. Like it just
Unless they're dead.
Yeah. A tribute, that's fine.
Yeah.
But
if they're dead, your relationship with them probably isn't going to change.
I'd hope not. And that means that I need to like get ready for the zombie apocalypse if it does.
Right? Or you have some serious ghost abilities.
The resurrection stone.
Exactly.
I hope not. I hope that they break the curse. I hope that they end up being happy and healthy for a long time.
Yes. And obviously this doesn't apply to you and Brian, but I mean, we all know that many relationships that start in our early 20s and before that last so long. Doesn't. Statistically, again, you and Brian I think are one of the things that go against this, but usually if you the divorce rate is much higher if you get married. Well, you guys didn't get married before the age of 25, so like that's where most of the divorce rate comes from, and then you're more likely to remarry and get divorced again.
No, we didn't get together until right after I turned 24, so that's when we first started dating. He was 25, I had just turned 24, and then we didn't even move in together until I think I was like a month away from turning 27 when we moved in together. And then we got married 10 years later. We lived together for a decade before we got married. Like just a week after our wedding was like the 10-year anniversary of us moving in together. So we were living together a very long time. Because my mother always told me, she was like, don't ever marry somebody without, or don't marry anyone without living with them first.
Yeah, because like scary shit comes out of that closet.
Yeah, because you never know. I mean, you can be with somebody and think they're like the greatest human being on the planet, and then you move in with them and like they might have like bad habits or like stuff that you like can't overlook, or like I know like my biggest struggle is like him snoring, like how loud he snores, and I
Mhm.
haven't had a proper night's sleep in a decade. Like,
Yep,
um,
I feel you on that one. Not the amount of time, but the snoring, yes.
yeah, it's not fun. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's probably another reason why a lot of marriages don't last when people get married that young, because they hadn't lived together, and if they do, it might only be like a year or two, and you really can't judge anything on that short amount of time because that's not really a lot of time.
Well, our brains are not fully developed until we're 25. So that's one of the big reasons, because your personality isn't even like fully cemented. When I think of who I was in my early 20s versus my later 20s, I was wild in my early 20s. Absolutely insane. Like the shit I did.
Oh, same.
And I mean, there's a reason that there's only certain things that you're allowed to do after like the age of 25, and why your car insurance, for example, goes down at 25,
Oh yeah,
because
I forgot that was
your brain finally understands that it's actually possible for you to die.
the thing. Yeah, you don't really think of that when you're like in your teens or your early 20s. Like basically you're still a teenager until you're 25. Like
Mm-hmm.
you make the same stupid choices, you do the same stupid shit. You like, I'm not proud of it. Like I used to go to the bar when I was like 21 or 22 and like drink and drive home. Like I'm not proud of that at all. And then I got older. I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? Like I could have killed myself or others.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would justify it back then with like, oh well, it's only like 3 blocks from my house. Like statistically, most accidents happen close to your house.
Yeah,
That's not, you don't think of that shit when you're 21. Like
you're
you're still,
invincible.
yeah, you don't think anything like that's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and yeah, I guess that would be why like relationships don't seem to last that young either, because you're not even you yet at that point.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I think they're both under 25.
I think he is, but I don't think she is. I
Yeah,
mean, I'll double check.
yeah. I mean, based on the jumps that Sammy does, I would assume he is under 25. But
Seriously.
but yeah.
She's 26.
Okay.
And then
So her personality is what you got.
Sammy is, no, he's not. He's 28 years old.
He's 28.
I thought he was like 23.
Yeah, I thought he was like 22. Okay, so good for them. Their odds have increased that they will stay together.
Wow, I did not really. Yeah, he was born in 1993, in July of 93, age 28 years old. Holy shit.
I think he's older than MJF then.
Yeah,
Because
definitely. MJF's only like 25, I think.
he's 25 or 26, I think.
Yeah,
But
26. He was 24 when the company first started. But yeah, oh, well, happy birthday, MJF, as of on 2 days ago.
oh, yes, happy birthday to everyone's favorite heel.
Love him.
Yeah, which I mean, I think that's a pretty good segue into Wardlow's match for the TNT Championship with Scorpio Sky, which he did not win. Which was, I think we could all kind of see that coming, although I'm still sad about it.
A little
um,
salty, but
yeah, I mean, he obviously did not lose cleanly to that. There was a lot of interference,
and
so much interference.
money that changed hands. Did you
Mhm.
see?
Yeah. But even like when Wardlow, again, I always go back to how much I love his facial reactions and how much he sells stuff, but
Mhm.
not in like a ridiculous way, which some people do. And I'm not even talking about like how Dolph Ziggler or Seth Rollins, for that matter, take bumps, or Seth when he pretends he's puking.
or Becky when people kick out at 2. That every time, like,
Yeah. At this point, like everything, I think everything Becky does is endearing.
I love her, but I'm so over that. I'm over the like, what, those 2? What? Like,
She
that is a
she could
little
like
overdone.
she could skip down to the ring lighting people on fire as she goes, and I'd be like, look at her go. Doll.
Flamethrower. Borrow the rocks.
Ah. Becky Lynch just murdered people. Well,
Isn't she sweet?
yeah, they got an experience. I wonder if those tickets will be cheaper or more expensive after this.
Oh, jeez.
May die via flame.
You have to sign a disclaimer.
Yeah. But yeah, Wardlow really sold everything well and not in a theatrical way. I don't know, I really enjoyed I always enjoy his facial reactions to everything. But of course, MJF slithers down to the ring along with Sean Spears, who is looking less sickly these days.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what exactly it is that's making him look less sickly or what's going on in his life. He just seems healthier, so good for him.
Yeah.
And they kicked the ever living shit out of Wardlow.
And nobody came to help him. They
Mhm.
kept pointing that out too, which is making me wonder if someone's gonna eventually come out to help him, and I'm wondering who it might be.
Well, considering also like people thought that maybe Punk would, since Wardlow was kind enough to leave that ring for him and not interfere, but that we actually didn't see Punk at all that episode. So
No, and you know who I think it might actually be? I think it might be FTR, because FTR had just fired Tully,
yeah.
and they're making a lot of hints and references to Bret Hart potentially being their new manager. And there's no way in God's green earth that Bret Hart is going to come and they're going to be heels. If he ends up, there's not a chance in hell. Not immediately. I mean, maybe down the road, but Bret Hart, like, there's no
Mm-hmm.
chance that he's going to come in and they're going to be a heel tag team. It wouldn't happen. Not with him.
Or Batista will come and Wardlow will jump into his arms lovingly.
Why Batista?
He loves Batista. That's
Oh,
yeah, he's a big Batista fan. He's very excited because his career is somewhat following
similar.
in that. Yeah. So for him, I hope it's Batista and he jumps into his arms. Batista's never coming back to wrestling, and he said that many times, and he does not need to. But
No,
I mean,
got
just
that sweet Marvel money.
just envision in your minds Wardlow jumping into Batista's arms, much
Like,
like Carmella does to Corey Graves, and Batista just kicking towards MJ.
that
It's a
is a
beautiful,
weird image.
it's a weird, strange, hilarious image, and someone should draw it. I have no I have no artistic ability.
Give me
So,
what I want.
huh?
Give me what I want.
Damn it. Someone draw this.
Oh God.
One of our 2 listeners.
But on a serious note, I think it's going to be FTR that turns on MJF. And it's going to be like a split between the Pinnacle, where you're going to have Sean Spears and MJF on one side, and Wardlow, like FTR is going to side with Wardlow.
Either that or it's going to be someone who's not really there yet or is
Or that.
new. Yeah.
It could be some. I'm hoping it's not someone new, because we've had enough new people like recently. I want to see more storylines with like people that are already there, which
Yeah.
I would like the idea of like the civil war of the Pinnacle. I think that would be, I'd be invested in that.
So the only reason why I don't want them to do that right now is they just did that with the Inner Circle. Like they just had that. And I don't want to necessarily watch another faction do the same exact thing. I'm kind of thinking that maybe it'll be someone that already has like a woman involved, because of what's her face, Paige, is that it? Yeah. But who knows? It was very bizarre when her and her husband just started like making out in front of Wardlow. It's like, he's not, what?
It might be Sammy.
It could be. That would be Sammy.
They're
Yeah, that would make, haha, I am put together. We are genius.
I just thought of that when you brought her up. It was like, oh wait, they've already started to do the thing with her and Ty Conti, so
that makes
that
sense.
makes sense.
Yes, yes.
Five head.
Together, we are perfect bookers.
Where we just remember things that happened. Like,
yes. We lead each other down paths.
I forgot that happened completely until you brought her up. That was Rampage last week, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that, but yeah, that does make the most sense now. Never mind my FTR theory. That'll be something separate.
On the kind of the note of new people coming in, so I don't necessarily want to talk about the match that, well, other than to complain, the match of Brian Danielson, there we go, and Jon Moxley versus Yuta and Chuck Taylor, yeah. And I was like, the Kentucky Gentleman, what is his actual wrestling name? Yeah. I'm really upset the fact that now whenever they're wrestling a team, like, they're losing, like every single time, because every time a new heel team comes in, that's who they're put against immediately, and they're losing. And they've been doing this for months now, and it's really pissing me off. Like, I'm glad they're getting the TV time, and I'm interested to see, because when Wheeler Yuta got back into the ring to shake Regal's hand and Regal slapped him like that, I'm hoping something comes from that. But
I think so.
But I want something more for Best Friends than just, hey, we're here to put people over all the time because everyone loves us. Because that's going to, they're going to Dolph Ziggler them. And I don't think they have much time left before that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, they do just, they are there to just put teams over. Like, I can't even remember the last time that they had won a match. I can't even pick it out of my head, to be honest with you. I do think Wheeler Yuta is going to end up with with Regal and Mox and Brian. I think that because I think he's one of the names that they mentioned when Brian was trying to convince Mox to to join up with him to begin with. So who knows what'll happen with Best Friends after that, because it does seem like Wheeler Yuta was the one that was like eating all the pins for a while. Like, he's the one that was always losing. Yeah. So maybe after he leaves, like, Best Friends will go off and do like better. Like maybe start winning and like potentially build themselves back up to be contenders for the tag championships.
Yeah. Because everyone in Best Friends is incredibly talented, and that's one of the reasons why they're using them the way that they are. But I am sick to death of it, because like you can taste it coming, like the trouble that Dolph Ziggler had. Dolph Ziggler is an amazing talent. He can work with anyone. So what do? They used him to put over everyone for so long that it destroyed people's faith in him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like obviously Orange Cassidy can like withstand that for longer, but Chuck Taylor and Trent, not so much. Danhausen hasn't actually wrestled yet because he's still healing from his injury and he's, you know, cursing people, but yeah.
Yeah,
And of course, Chris Statlander is just amazing and needs more TV time.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna go on with them because you know Orange Cassidy's hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Yuta's leaving them. I think that he's gonna go off to whatever this new little faction's gonna be. So who knows what that means for Trent and Chuck? Like I hope that they get on a run. I would like to see that. I'd like to see them in contention for the belts again. It's been a long time since they've been, you know, up there and doing any kind of like title matches or anything. And like one thing I forgot that I noted, like I mentioned last night to Brian when we were watching, it was like I forgot like how like Chuck Taylor is very underrated. Like I forgot how much of a good wrestler he actually is until I saw him in there with Danielson. Because I mean, Brian Danielson is like he's the best wrestler in the world. Honestly, he like everybody knows that he's the best pure wrestler. And seeing like Chuck Taylor in there like holding his own and like looking good and looking like at that level, I was like, wow, he's really underrated. Like I forgot how they do deserve to be more than just the we're gonna put all these teams over team. Like they should be in main events. They should be in title matches. They should be at a higher level than what they've been booked. And I don't know if it's the injuries that have happened because like Trent was injured for so long and like Chuck had injuries and I think that might have a lot to do with it, that there was like all the injuries that happened, that they're in these matches to kind of just like put people over, and a lot of them were not really intense matches. I don't know, maybe now that they're both healthy, we can get them on a track back up to where they were before like the injuries happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean it says a lot about them that even because a lot of tag teams, if your partner gets injured, we might not see you on TV, certainly not every week. And that is not a complaint of mine. Like I love seeing them on I love seeing them on TV every week. They absolutely should be. They're amazing talents. My complaint is that they're not being used the way they should be, and they're going to unintentionally bury them in the fans' minds to the point where they're just written off as, well, these guys are always going to lose. And I think that's what we're seeing now. I guarantee I'm not the only one who has noticed that like anytime they're going up against someone, you're just like, oh, well, especially when it's like their first match or two in, like, please stop doing this to them. And I'm sure like you're not going to complain you're getting to wrestle Brian Danielson and and John Moxley and work with William Regal. Like you're not going to complain about that because these are great minds. You're not going to complain about working with Adam Cole or Red Dragon. Like, these are great opportunities. These are great folks to work with. They're putting on good matches, but everything compiling on itself like it is just it's going to be Dolph Ziggler all over again, but in AEW with a tag team.
Yeah.
So that is my soapbox.
No, I agree. I think they need to start getting on they need to have a hot streak. They need to start winning.
Yeah. And I want them to stay faces because we need more face tag teams. There's a lot of heel tag teams, it seems. Yeah.
I think that they are a case of career faces. You know, some people are just forever face. I think that's best friends.
I mean, one of their moves is giving each other a hug.
Yep.
And
they do the
Okada.
So pure. I love how they do the Okada Rainmaker camera for it too. The zoom.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's so great. I love it all. And I want I think keeping them and Orange Cassidy in the same sphere is great too. Same thing with like Danhausen doesn't always need to be with them, but circling back sometimes makes sense. Same thing, like much like Chris Statlander, like she's doing her own thing, but like is still like they're still friends. So like she's there if they need them or if they need her. And I think it can work very much so the same with Danhausen.
And I love that like every time she has a match, it's Orange Cassidy that comes out with her. I think that is it like stems back from like way back when in BTE when she was like abducting people and like abducted him and the little boops to the nose and it looked like there was like a little crush there between them and I just like that they're like we don't know. Are they like a little couple or are they just friends or they still have a little like cute crush on each other? Like I like those two together.
I also love when for a long time in BT, she would just sneak up behind Wheeler Yuta and like choke him out.
They made some kind of reference recently to about how she was gonna like beat his ass for losing again.
Yeah. I love it. Love it. And I think Wheeler Yuta is going like if they handle him right, he's going to be a big deal. Like he's no one to like sleep on.
I think that's why they're gonna put him with Mox and Regal and Danielson.
I don't even necessarily, so this will be a controversial opinion. I don't think he'll learn obviously from Moxley and Brian, but the one I really want to see him with is Regal. I don't necessarily Brian Danielson. I'll get it right eventually. Him and Moxley would be fine on their own. Quite honestly, having Regal there is great, and I think it's fun. But I really want to see Wheeler Yuta with Regal. I think he'll do great with him.
Yeah, that's something I'm excited to see. Is where this whole thing is going. I think the sole purpose of this is to elevate younger talent, and that I like.
Yeah. And now to our main event. Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker for the AEW Women's Championship in a steel cage. And you had said before we got on, before we started recording, about how they do great specialty matches.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a common criticism that I've noticed a lot of people have felt the same way, that like their lights out match, that unsanctioned one, the one that didn't count, that match was incredible. And then it felt like something was missing every time that they had been in the ring after that. Like when they just had like straight up wrestling matches, like no gimmick, no, nothing like that. It's like it always felt like timing was kind of off, or like the chemistry wasn't quite there again, or like just something always felt like, it's not like they were bad matches, it something always felt just slightly off. And then last night happened in this cage match, and it was like again like the unsanctioned match, the lights out match. And I don't know what it is with them too, but when like you give them the chance to use weapons and get bloody, all of a sudden they're like completely in sync and they put out a fucking banger like they did last night. But if you just throw them in a ring to wrestle, it's always like something is just off. And I don't know why. It just seems weird.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've seen it the other way around, that they'll do like a good solid match. And then when you add in the stipulation, it doesn't quite reach another level. It kind of falls flat. But you don't really see it the opposite way like this. But yeah, they did a great job throughout the match. You were engaged throughout the whole thing. So when they injured the ref and he fell out, he got his ass kicked. Like he got the shit kicked out of him. And Aubrey came down. When they left the door open on that cage, I was like, oh no. I was like, don't taint this, please.
Right.
but, and I know, so you couldn't watch the part where they put down the thumbtacks. I couldn't watch in the very beginning, the raking Britt Baker's face against
Oh,
the metal. I grew up with a fence like that in my backyard. And I got an injury to my hand once, and that was enough. I can't imagine my face. Like, no,
no.
thank you.
No, I had a fence like that growing up too, and like I've climbed it and accidentally like fell and like scraped a knee or something on it. And yeah, I can't imagine my face being scraped against something like that either. Like one thing I gotta like, yeah, Thunder Rose is obviously tough, but one thing I gotta say about Britt is she is fucking nuts.
Mhm.
That woman will do anything to herself for our entertainment. She is
That spot off of the turnbuckle onto the chairs,
oh
like
my
that were
God.
set up. Oi, her tailbone has to be killing her today.
She's out of her mind. Like I have so much respect for her. It's just unbelievable. The shit that she puts herself through, the the stuff she'll go through, the like the chairs, the tables, the way that she will bleed. Like she's just she was a great champ. I like her reign was great. She
Legendary.
yeah, she was an amazing heel champ. She cheated when she had to, you know, like she all the dirty heel tactics.
Hmm.
Won clean, like there's times that she's just flat out won.
Yep.
Like, and it was just a great ending match to the like a great match to end her reign. It was
Mm. It did it justice. It really
yeah.
did. Because throughout that match, there were times when I thought Britt was going to pull out and win. And I was annoyed. I'm like, really? You're going to do that to Thunder Rosa in her hometown? You mother. Getting really pissed. And then, Thunder Rosa would kick out or, and it was just a very entertaining, very captivating match. And I am an ugly crier. So I loved that Thunder Rosa is also an ugly crier. I have one criticism of, like, I always really enjoy how she paints her face. It looked like she had it was supposed to be shading for like cheekbones, but instead it looked like she had a beard. Like like Elvis chops, like old Elvis chops came, and I was like, "Oh no."
I can't even remember what the makeup looked like. All I could picture is just a face of blood at this point. Like
So what helped me was the fact that, and I appreciate this, since she had painted her whole face and then started bleeding, my mind was like, it's just paint, Sabrina. It's fine. So I was able to watch the match. So wrestlers going forward, when you're going to be bleeding, please paint your face, like the whole thing. Really helps me not vomit.
I'm okay if like they're bleeding already, like to an extent. Sometimes like Punk was another level that I can't. But I like the thumbtacks. As soon as that bag came out, I'm like, well, like I'm like, I will listen to the rest of this match.
Mhm.
I can't. I don't know what it is. I just can't watch people get like pierced or like anything going into skin. I can't do it. So thumbtacks are always something that I will immediately have to check out.
At the place that we both used to work, did you ever hear about the woman who got fired because she put a tack on someone's chair?
I don't think so.
She was on your side of the divide,
Mm.
and yeah, she's an interesting person. We'll talk more about the
Yeah.
off camera, but yeah, she got very fired for that.
Who would do? Oh my God, that's like, what are you, 5? Like put an attack on a substitute teacher's like before you know better, like like
Right? Yeah.
oh God. But yeah, I that match last night though, I can't say enough good things about it, and I'm so happy. Like it's so bittersweet because I'm so sad that like Britt isn't champ anymore, but I'm also like so thrilled that Thunder Rosa finally won the belt at the same time.
She made the most sense to take that belt off of her. The
Mhm.
most sense. She was the most believable. And damn, does she deserve it? You know, like just she constantly puts out quality work. And she's she's just so fun to watch in general. She has that charisma about her, even when she's giving interviews. Um, I'm sure that she's someone that if she walks into a room, like you can sense it, like the
Mhm.
energy changes to like, and not in a dark, upsetting way, but in a like, woo sort of way.
Yeah, she's cool. I like her a lot, and
Mhm.
I'm so happy for her. And I hope she has like a long reign. I hope she has it until like at least the fall pay-per-view if they're gonna like take it off of her soon.
Mhm.
At least until like the September pay-per-view. Like give her like 6 months at least with it.
I'm so excited to see the matches that are going to come with it because, like, we've seen everyone basically go up against Britt Baker. Um, I can't wait to see her going and not just like the heels, but baby faces too. Like, I think her and Chris Statlander will put on a good match. Her and Ruby Riot, Ruby Soho. I'm just using people's old names tonight. I think I think we've seen her and Jamie Hayter before. But I
I mean, Anna, Bunny, like
mhm,
um
Nyla Rose, like everyone. Like I just want to see.
Sheeta, like there's so many. Yeah, there's a lot of good matches that can happen. I mean, not that there weren't good matches that happened with Britt, but this is a totally different dynamic now because you have a face champ and it's not going to be like a lot of outside interference
Mhm.
like there
And
was for a lot of her matches.
and I think at some point now we'll also get Britt versus Jade
Oh yeah.
because we weren't seeing that because they were protecting her and they were doing the I mean then she was the TBS champion, well is, so there was no reason for her to be facing Britt.
Oh, they're
Now
gonna
I think, oh, go ahead.
are they gonna you think they're gonna make Britt be the one to beat her?
I don't necessarily think so because like I think they're using that title more to build people. So Britt wouldn't need that. Um, I don't think that's a match we're gonna get anytime soon either. But I'm interested to see it when we do, especially if Jade keeps improving like she has been.
I don't want to see that match until after Jade loses the belt. I don't want to see that match with her as the TBS champion. I'd rather them hold off on that until because then you like wouldn't know who would win because like at that point that means that Jade would had or yeah that Jade would had already lost if she lost the belt.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be so obvious at that point. Like you really wouldn't know like oh like this can go either way. I want them to hold off until Jade's streak is over so then it can be like oh this will be fun. Like
I think you also have to wait a while anyway because Britt Baker was so untouchable for so long. If she were to go against Jade now, like she would have to beat her because of how it would diminish the women's title otherwise.
mhm.
Um, so like I'm not I want to see that match, but it's not something I want to see right now, like
Yeah.
months, months from now. But it's something I'm excited because there's not many women's partnership with Britt. Both Britt and Jade have taken on separately almost everyone in the women's division, with the exception of each other at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah.
So if they're smart, they will build up that fact.
Yeah, that can be an interesting angle.
Yeah, and I think get some more experience under under Jade's belt. As I said, she's a fast learner. She's and I think she's going to really maybe with her next hair color change should be when she faces Britt.
I love the green. I love
Mhm.
it. I liked the
So do I,
silver.
clearly.
I
Oh,
just
although I think it was on Rampage that they had Jade.
mm,
Her makeup was fucked up. Like it was the regular dark green here, but they didn't continue it up. It looked like they had a white primer on her that they did not put the makeup on. Because I was just looking at it and that I don't even know what entirely she said because I was like, what is happening with your face? Who
no,
did this to you?
I don't remember noticing.
Of course, I noticed that.
I mean, that could have been a case of like sometimes I listen to promos that I'm not looking at the TV.
Hmm.
If they're just talking, sometimes like I scroll and I just listen. Like
Yeah. The only thing I remember from that is whomever she is facing next, um, Smart Mark Sterling said, like, oh, maybe we'll get like, they're not calling it the kiss of death. I think he said the kiss of doom.
yeah,
Um,
I think that's what he said.
and she said if they deserve it, it was during that promo. So
I wonder if they can't say the kiss of death because of like the Godfather.
I don't know. There's also a character on NXT who does that because he has a Godfather type. He's a mobster.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. So I was just like, how many people are gonna go around smooching folks?
Uh, I if it's something she wants to do, if it's working, go for it.
Yeah.
My my favorite part when you see just the still of it is Aubrey in the background where she's like all shocked, like she did grab her like that. You got to find a picture and look at Aubrey's face because it is hilarious.
I love
Also, hi
Aubrey.
Kitty.
Yeah. Scarlett has decided it's her showtime now.
Well, Brian came home, so Lily stopped yelling at the door.
Scarlett was very kind to sit on the bed in here and just, watch me and occasionally doze, but she has decided that it's petting time now. So
Like, Mom, it's been 2 hours. Pet me
yeah.
now.
Yeah, and also my bath time if you see
Aw.
her licking my arm. Yeah. So, well, I guess I'm being told that we're wrapping up now.
Yeah, I guess so. The boss said it's time to cut.
I'm being herded basically.
I think we covered everything that really happened in the wrestling shows.
Yes, yes. Um at least all of the fun stuff and well, not so fun stuff as well, sadly.
Yeah, Biggie breaking his neck was not exactly a fun part.
No, that was ugh, ugh. Like I'll
You know,
see that in my dreams in a very heartbreaking way. Nightmares, there we go.
honestly, when I saw the first video, just like real quick before we wrap up, the first one he posted,
Hmm.
um, saying like he was okay and everything from like in the hospital bed. I'm not even lying, I got choked up.
Yeah,
Just
I
see,
almost cried. I was like,
yeah, like
thank
how
God.
just how positive he still was, and like he was worried about everyone worrying about him. And I'm like, you are the purest human being on this planet. Like, you must be protected at all costs.
Right? Yeah. Like no harm is to come to this man. Like, what is this?
Yeah, if we didn't sort him into Hufflepuff, we need to rethink.
I feel like did we put him in Hufflepuff?
I'm pretty sure we did. I think all of New Day went into Hufflepuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It because the only other one that the only thing I can think is like Woods might have gone into Ravenclaw, but
Maybe. And I think we like debated on Kofi with Gryffindor
Gryffindor
because of his Royal Rumble. Like,
moments.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think they went into Hufflepuff.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. So we will see you all next week. Um, and as always, hustle, loyalty, and respect.
Yeah, but
Yabadoo.